All right, so let's talk about Rob Reiner. So yesterday I had heard the unfortunate news that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were unalived. Well, first of all, the story that I believe came out was the fact that two bodies were found at Rob Reiner's mansion. They didn't say who it was. Then later on, the story came out that it was the famous, Well, I guess he is world famous. I mean, the filmmaker, and he was an actor. Remember, he played Meathead over there on All in the Family. Now, that of course was before my time, but of course, because of the era in which I grew up in the '80s and the '90s, being a child of the '80s and '90s, it was like I used to watch the reruns and stuff. So, 'cause that show came on TV before I was born. But I used to watch All in the Family. I used to watch all those crazy shows. All in the Family, The Jeffersons. What was the other ones? There was Different Strokes, Facts of Life. Like I used to watch all those shows growing up. I mean, there was a lot of shows that was in syndication and on reruns even after they was canceled. We used to sit and watch a lot of those shows. Did I say Good Times? That was my show too. So yeah, All in the Family, I believe was the Jeffersons is a spinoff of All in the Families. I mean, All in the Family, by the way, because I remember George Jefferson did appear on a couple of episodes. There was a lot of shows that were spinoffs of shows back in those days. Norman Lear was real good at spinning off a lot of his shows and giving everybody, opportunities. But anyway, so then the story came out that Rob Reiner and his wife was knifed up, or whatever the case was. I heard the throat was slashed and all this other stuff. So then the story started coming out that it was the son, Nick Reiner, who had something to do with, who has a series of mental health issues as well as has battled drug addiction for many years. And so his sister, Nick's sister, was the one who ended up finding the body. Now, the story also came out earlier that the parents and Nick were at a Christmas party, I believe that was being thrown by Conan O'Brien. And they said that Nick was acting weird. He was asking everybody there who was famous. He was being erratic. He was being, all kinds of crazy, whatever the case is. And Rob Reiner over the years has said many a times in conversations, there was even an interview that they resurfaced and they dug back up where Rob was like, because what was it? Nick, I believe, he worked on a movie with his father, and Nick co-wrote it. And I think it was based off of his issues with his parents, drug addiction, all that other stuff. And said that yeah, they were bickering and fighting and stuff, but he was somebody that at the end of the day could not give up on his son in regards of whatever was going on with him. And clearly, based off of everything that was being said, they was like Rob took care of his son, paid all of his bills, was trying to incorporate him in a lot of things, and it still wasn't enough. So a lot of people was like, to Rob, you need to show your kid tough love. You need to stop always trying to protect him or whatever the case is. But he's like, that's not in my nature. He said this in the interview that people have come up to him and said this stuff. And he's like, it's not in my nature to just abandon my son. And so literally to the very end, the very blood soaked end of it all, he did, and his wife did whatever they could to protect the son. Someone even said that if you look at Michelle, don't she look like Penny Marshall? Because once upon a time, Rob Reiner was married to Penny Marshall, who was from Laverne and Shirley, another show I grew up on watching. So, and then she passed away, I think over a decade ago. I think it was complications of diabetes, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, so there was a lot of that. And so let's get into the actual People magazine story because they were the ones, shout out to them, who broke the news. Everybody else was talking about this other stuff. So between People magazine and TMZ, they were the ones that was going in with all the details. So Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, were unalived by their son Nick, according to multiple sources who have spoken with family members. Police have not yet confirmed the account. Also, I should point out this. It has been confirmed because this one came out yesterday. Today it was confirmed. Also, there was a story going around that Nick has posted he's on bail. Well, not on bail, but he was hit with bail. He is being held without bail. So he's still in jail. They're not releasing any bail for him. He is there. They're leaving his ass. If they could dig a hole any deeper, he'd be under the freaking prison. So Nick's not going anywhere. And they're not giving him bail. I don't know if they'll actually set one up, but if they do, who paying for it? The people that was bailing you out of everything, you took their life. So who's bailing you out? So on Sunday, December 14th, around 3:30 p.m., the LA Fire Department were called to the home to provide medical aid, the LAFD told people. Upon arriving, they found a man, 78, and a woman, 68, unalive. Sources confirm the victims were Rob and Michelle. Police say Nick, who's 32, was alive and being questioned. No arrests have been made. I also heard from TMZ, they said that Nick disappeared for hours after he committed the crime, allegedly. I'll say, even though we know you did it. Now, police said, so they said Rob is a director, as y'all know, and producer and actor. And, he directed This is Spinal Tap, which they actually did just come out with a sequel to that. I don't know if Rob Reiner did that or somebody else was behind that, but yeah, they did. I believe they came out with a This Is Spinal Tap sequel or something. And then I saw they did like a re-release of This Is Spinal Tap in theaters. Also, Stand By Me. Oh my God, that was like my favorite. Still is one of my all-time favorite movies. There's a loony up in Tokus. Stand By Me was one of my favorites. Princess Bride, Princess Diaries. Princess Bride was one of my favorite movies. When Harry Met Sally, of course, the infamous orgasm scene. Misery. A Few Good Men. You Can't Handle the Truth. Like, there's so many iconic quotes that have come out of, like, with so many movies when it comes in, like with Misery, like I said, A Few Good Men, when Harry Met Sally, The Princess Bride, Stand By Me. So many quotable parts of those films. I always told you, like, as a kid growing up, Stand By Me was like one of my all-time favorite movies. I wanted to be who did I want to be in that movie? I was more like Will Wheaton when I was that age, but I wanted to be River Phoenix. So that was literally me. And when I would always revisit that film. So everybody knows that he played Mike, aka Meathead, on All in the Family. He was born in the Bronx in 1947. His father was legendary comedian Carl Reiner, and his mother was actress and singer Estelle LaBoste. Robert and Michelle met when Robert directed When Harry Met Sally. The couple married in '89 before having 3 children. Now, previously, Rob was married, as I said, to Penny Marshall, who passed away in 2018 at age 75. Okay, so I was right. It was complications from diabetes. In a 2016 interview with People, Nick spoke about his years long struggle with drug addiction, which began in his early teens and eventually left him living on the streets. He said he cycled in and out of rehab beginning at around 15, but his addiction escalated. He drifted farther from home and spent significant stretches homeless in multiple states. Nick offered people that as he told people that the chaotic period of addiction, including nights and sometimes weeks sleeping outside, later became the basis of the semi-autobiographical film Being Charlie, which he co-wrote. I should also point out that there was some audio that surfaced of Nick where he was basically talking about the fact that he would stay up late, like he would stay up for days on end, I guess in a drug stupor, as a lot of them do. When you start taking them hard drugs, people stay up for days. And he said he was in the guest house and then just started wrecking it. I started punching the walls and I started destroying the furniture and all that. So he was saying all of this. So when he gets into his drug binges, he would just start getting erratic, which makes sense because that happens with a lot of people who do all kinds of crazy drugs. You don't know what they're putting in a lot of these substances. But at one point, I'm just like, I totally get why um, Rob Reiner wouldn't want to give up on his son, and I'm sure Michelle didn't as well. But it comes a certain point where it's just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how I can help you in this whole situation. And shout out to Rob Shooter, who over there at his Substack, who went and posted an exclusive article where it said that even as their relationship with their troubled son grew more painful and volatile, Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, were never prepared to give up on him. A loyalty sources say that they would still be showing today if they were alive. Multiple family insiders tell me, well, as in Rob, the couple spent years financially and emotionally propping up their son Nick, paying all his bills, covering the cost of repeated treatments, and trying to keep him close to them no matter the personal or social cost. Saying they paid for everything: housing, treatment, travel, all of it. A source tells me Rob and Michelle truly believe if they just didn't abandon him, he'd be okay. Well, I totally get that, but there's a such thing as tough love. There comes a certain point if you're not willing to get the help that you need, then I can't continue to enable your behavior because they probably saw it as they didn't want to abandon him. You're enabling the behavior, and he took advantage of that. That's what I'm getting from it. He literally just took advantage of his parents because he knew, oh, they'd give me whatever I want. Oh, they never abandon me. And you get into a nasty heated argument with your father at a Christmas party. Yeah, in my head, I'm not thinking like, oh, he's gonna take my life. Nobody's thinking Nobody would like you would never think that of all the people in the world that would actually just gut you would be your own children or your own child. Who would think that? I mean, the Menendez brothers did it, right? But I don't know if it's the same thing as what because according to the Menendez brothers, they accuse their father of being a child molester, allegedly. But Rob Reiner, he always seemed like a pretty stand-up guy. I mean, I liked him. I liked a lot of his movies, and he was also someone who was very outspoken when it comes to politics. Now, speaking of politics, we're gonna get into what that asshole over there in the White House had to say in a second. But before we get to that, let's finish the article. They said they also, where was I? Nick was. They said they also insisted on bringing Nick along to nearly every high-profile event they were invited to, even when he wasn't welcome. They said Nick wasn't invited, but they brought him anyway. One insider says it caused tension because other stars didn't want to be around him. Sources say Nick's behavior was often explosive. He allegedly screamed at his parents in public, including at celebrity gatherings, humiliating them in front of friends and colleagues. Saying he treated them terribly, a source tells me. He would yell at them, lash out, and Robin Michelle would immediately jump in to defend him. That dynamic reportedly played out just hours before the murders. TMZ reports that at Conan O'Brien Christmas party Saturday night, Rob and Nick were involved in what sources describe as a very loud argument. Audible to multiple guests, Rob and Michelle then left the party together. Behind the scenes, Michelle had confided to friends that she and Rob were at their breaking point. She would say, "We've tried everything," but even then, they still wouldn't turn their backs on him. And those closest to the couple believed the loyalty would not have wavered even then. If Rob and Michelle were alive today, one source tells me quietly, they'd still be defending him. So it's unfortunate this is where it had to resort to. Is like, yeah, I get it. You don't want to abandon your kid because it's like you love your children. But wouldn't know honestly, I wouldn't know what do you do in these situations, especially when you have a child that's so far gone, who's someone who doesn't want to get the help that they need, that are so prone to addiction. Maybe I guess they need the tough love, and you have to let them go. But he just couldn't do it, and now look what happened. So. With that all being said, I know a lot of people didn't particularly care for Rob Reiner's politics because he was always someone who was very outspoken against people like Trump and those other stuff. So, of course, the orange shit stain had to jump on social media and give some weird freaking commentary post or whatever on live social, I believe, about Rob Reiner. And it's like, why are you even making this about you? I don't even know if I even want to read what this idiot had to say. But in case you didn't hear what the moron in chief had to say, let me read it. So it says, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling, but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with the mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. I don't know who even came up with this, but okay, crazy. Somebody give the Alzheimer's victim his damn meds because he clearly shit his diaper again. So he was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals. Okay, I'm not even. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. This man will literally make you want to rip your hair out by the root. And I know you got a little system situation going up here. You got a bird's nest because you got to hide your bald spot. Luckily for me, all my follicles still have their hair intact. So um I can't with him and the bullshit. And Trump, what you need to do is you need to tread lightly because while Rob Reiner had one child who didn't like him, you got quite a few that don't like you. And y'all can sit up and say, "Oh, but they put up with him, they tolerate him because what else they got going on for him?" Why do you think that um, Donald Jr. bungee jumps in the white powder on every chance he gets? That man looks sweaty. He always looks greasy, and he always looks like he's bug-eyed. The eyes be bloodshot. So he on something. He does full on. He swims through. He swims through the book of sugar. So allegedly. Then we got the other one that looked like Slaw from the Goonies. He all messed up. Then you got the daughter, who I wouldn't be surprised if she was abused. If you know what I'm saying, I think you do. Your family don't like you. Your wife don't even like you. So tread lightly because the energy you put out there, especially towards people like Rob Reiner and making it about you better hope and pray none of your kids do to you what Charlie did to his daddy and mommy. So tread lightly, sir, because you say all this stuff dumb. And at one point, I'm wondering when are people going to actually call him out on his shit, like his own supporters? But he can do no wrong in the cult's eyes. But since they won't speak out, let me see. I could have sworn I had it. Jack White, I believe, had something to say about. Oh yeah, I do have it. So Jack White over there on his. Hold on, let me pull it up for y'all because I want y'all to see his Instagram. So yeah, Jack White went into the Instagram. He screenshot what Trump had to say and basically posted the following. So he said, Trump, you disgusting, vile egomaniac loser child. Neither he nor any one of his followers can defend this gross, horrible insult to a beautiful artist who gave the world so much. To use someone's tragic death to promote your own vanity and fascist authoritarian agenda is a corrupt and narcissistic sin. Shame on you, Trump, and anyone who defends this. God bless you, Rob Reiner, and thank you for what you gave the world. I never even met you, and I still stand by you. Well, stand by me, stand by you, Jack White. And one person said many people lost their jobs just for posting about the death of Charlie Kirk, but the GOP will tolerate this unhinged rant about the death of a person who worked his whole life to elevate people and their stories from all walks of life. Well, that's because Trump is a chaos demon. Like he's never done anything to uplift anybody. He can't even uplift his dick into an erection without taking a supplement for it. And another person says someday he will be gone and the world will, well, I'll be there with my pom poms, my confetti, my own confetti. I'll be walking around with a confetti machine, just like go off. We're gonna have a cake. Oh, we're gonna celebrate when that motherfucker hit the pavement. Rob Reiner's life and work will be celebrated in perpetuity. The exact opposite is true for this stain on humanity. This man is an embarrassment, not only to this country, but to the very existence of him, who he is. So, with that being said, last but certainly not least, let's get into this clip. So, the ladies of the View went and spoke out about this whole situation because Wendy. Whoopi is really she was close with Rob Reiner and she knew Carl Reiner. She knew she was very close with the Reiner. So I already knew like with this story coming out, like it would really hit her the hardest. Probably in the same like level of her friendship with Robin Williams, if I can say. Like if Billy Crystal was to go tomorrow, oh, that would definitely sting her too. And I heard that Billy Crystal was actually at the house, not there when it all happened, but he went and visited the house and he was seen destroyed and all this other stuff. So yeah, they all kind of knew each other. They ran in the same circles, as comedians, whatever. So with that being said, this will actually be my first time watching this because I haven't seen it. But let's get to the clip of the ladies of the View. Hold on, let me see if I could adjust the audio so we don't get, something happening to the situation. Okay, so we're gonna watch this clip and we'll come back and talk. And if there's any ad interruptions, we're just gonna have to work through it. So bear with me and please hold.
There was so much tragedy this weekend, it's hard to process. Tributes are flooding in after news broke last night of the apparent homicide of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner. Rob became a star in the iconic sitcom All in the Family and went on to direct beloved movies like This is Spinal Tap, The Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally. And I was lucky enough to get directed by him in Ghost of Mississippi. He was also an outspoken activist and quite a guy, quite an amazing man. And then there is what happened in Australia at Bondi Beach. At least 15 people were killed in an anti-Semitic attack on the first night of Hanukkah at Australia's Bondi Beach. Leaders from around the world are denouncing this act of hate and praising Ahmed El Ahmed, who is the hero that confronted and disarmed one of the shooters.
Now, before we get to the rest of this thing, I want to literally, let's marinate on that for a second. A Muslim man stopped a terrorist attack on Jewish people. So a lot of you Zionists that want to run around with this fucking narrative about Muslims, take all this in. Barry Weiss, folk glasses over there at CBS, still trying to perpetuate this like this whole Zionist propaganda bullshit that you over there doing. So yeah, let's give it up to someone who actually is, a Muslim who went and jumped in to defend these people. So when you get these corporations and politicians who try to cause this divisiveness amongst us, let's take a breath and put all of that aside and realize at the end of the day, we're all human beings trying to just get through the day. So let's stop like using a lot of our the racism, the hatred, all of our prejudices. I'm just speaking in general, and letting that overshadow the main things that's going on. While they sit up in here robbing us, and I'm talking about America, while these corporations and governments and stuff are trying to rob us, we need to give credence and focus on the fact that, you know what? Let's put all that aside and realize that we're all human beings, all trying to do what we got to do to survive, and stop letting these people, blindside us with and dividing us with all the racist rhetoric. But anyway, let's get back to the clip.
I don't know how to process this because it just, and of course then there's the shooting at Brown.
At Brown University,
Yeah,
two
at Brown
students
University.
killed.
I mean,
Gaza's population is on the brink of famine.
It's each thing in its own body is horrific, and this is this, I don't even have words. I don't know what to say. So I leave it in your hands. How are you all processing this?
I mean, I didn't know Rob personally the way you did. I just remember watching him on All in the Family with Archie Bunker, and actually having a television show that aired out these issues that families have. Archie Bunker was this sort of bigot, and then he's got this son-in-law, I think he called him Meathead, and they're having these difficult discussions that I had never seen on television before. But what do you, I know I asked you a little bit this morning, but what can you share about Rob?
Just he was a friend. I literally saw him the last time I did the Kennedy Center because we were honoring Billy.
Yeah.
And this is when Billy got the Mark Twain Award. But we were together quite a bit, and he was a wonderful director and a guy who was a stand-up guy. And he fought for the stuff that was right.
Yeah, he was such an activist. I was reading about how he, definitely helped to pass legislation about same-sex marriage, which is so important. Was helping pass legislation with educating our young people, universal pre-K, things like that. And then I hate to put a downer on it and make it political, but President Trump texted yesterday and said,
Don't read it. Just tell him that it's there.
He talked about Trump, that he died because of Trump derangement syndrome. I just don't think that that's something that we should be hearing about. I think we should be saddened by the gun violence that we're seeing. I used to think that gun violence was just an American phenomenon, and now we see this sort of anti-Semitic attack in Australia
on the first day
of Hanukkah, which is so disgusting and disturbing. And then, kids going to college at Brown in the middle of finals, getting murdered. What are those families going through? Why all of this sickness and hatred going around the world, not just
and it's all awful in its own lanes. I want to speak to the Australia thing. We're seeing a massive uprising of anti-Semitism globally, but in this country, there's a divide on the right now.
I don't care what I'm sorry. I cannot stand her. I'm going to have to go through what she has to say. I don't want to hear her Zionist bullshit. Let's get to Anna, because she came with the read of all reads. Sorry.
University news broke on Friday. I immediately called a good friend of mine who's got a son there. Her son was sheltering in place, terrified in his dorm room. That lasted for 12 hours. He is now home. The semester was over. They were in the middle of exams. But something that really hit me was there was actually a survivor, Zoe Wiseman, of the Parkland shooting in Florida, who was a student at Brown University. How much have we failed our youth that there are children out there who are now survivors of 2 mass shootings? And, on Rob Reiner, I just want to say, one day I looked at my ex, and he had slipped into my DMs because he watches.
Rob Reiner slipped into your DMs?
Yeah, he watched news. He knew everything that was going on. At the same time that he was making brilliant film work, he was also deeply engaged. There wasn't a cause he didn't care about. He cared about immigrants. He cared about equality and justice. He spoke up in defense of democracy at a time when so many in the media industry, so many with a platform are afraid to speak. He put his money and his mouth where his heart was. And for Trump to have put that out today, I'm going to say it. You know, damn it, there's an American family grieving.
Yeah.
This is a tragedy, not just for the family, but for all who knew and loved him. And for the president of the United States to make this about him and a way to attack Rob Reiner because he exercised his American right to speak up with what he disagreed with is shameful, is disgraceful. And out of all the disgusting things that Donald Trump has done, this is right up there.
Yeah.
And I would.
So I feel like we all got the gist. We don't need to hear what anybody else has to say in this whole situation. Shout out to Rob Reiner. May he rest in peace. And that was one of the things I also liked about him too, was not only because he made a lot of great films that I resonated with and I absolutely loved, but he was also very outspoken. He was not afraid to speak out against what, you know, the injustices of the world, especially when it came to American politics. So if snowflakes want to get all upset about the fact that they feelings are hurt because you're saying something negative about me. If you got thin skin, oh well, get over it. If you're going to be in a place of power, if you're going to be in a place where you're going to be dealing with lots of people, you're going to have to deal with people who don't like the things that you do. I deal with it here with this show, with some people don't like some of the things that I say, and people jump in the comments and try to troll, and I got to cuss their ass out and block them. But it's a part of the game, and if you're somebody who's thin skinned and can't deal with the heat of it all, then you just need to go. I was like, Alyssa was going to talk. I really don't care what she has to say. I can't take her, and I damn sure can't take Sarah Haynes. That's why I was like, I'm fast forwarding through her because I don't know what happened to Sarah. It's like after she had that third child, the bitch got stupid. So, and I know some people get mad. Please stop using derogatory words toward women. Oh, you thinking you exempt because you were opposite gender? You say something stupid, you getting cursed out. I don't care who it is. So, with all that being said, shout out to you, Nick. I mean, not Nick. Fuck you. You can rot in jail for all I care. Rest in peace, Rob Reiner. Rest in peace, Michelle. It's always sad when it's like the people who do so much good in the world end up being taken, and then we always get stuck with the assholes. They always get to hold on for long. Why are you forsaking us, sir? But I know we're not supposed to question the man upstairs. But anyway, so I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? There's probably a method to the man upstairs madness, but there's probably a method to his madness as to why you know who is still here making the comments that he's making. So I definitely want to hear from y'all, whatever your thoughts are on this matter. In the latest on it, because I'm sure more will be coming out as you know the days go by, and I'll definitely be up on it. And if then any more developments comes out, if any more of the story comes out, and all that good stuff. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. Let me know what your overall thoughts on this story in the comments down below.